Experience tranquility.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Welcome to the Iris Podcast. My name is S3E13. We have a small cast today. Joining me today is NPC and Specs. Bug, unfortunately, couldn't be here due to a family illness, and Nick can't be here because it's election day in Canada. Yes, Canada is a real place.
Shocking.
I know.
I didn't realize they could vote.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a voting thing either. I wasn't actually sure. I assumed it was like blood, something with blood. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. We have an exciting cast for you guys. We're going to start off by talking about really just a very interesting weekend. International Meetup Day took place on Saturday. For some people, also on Friday. For some people, also on Sunday. Guys, any interesting stories from Texas, NPC, Texas State Fair, right?
We did not do Texas State Fair. Unfortunately, it was just extremely crowded, extremely hot. So what we did was we did a VR arcade. So they had computers set up around the room, and you get to put the things on. We did multiplayer games where we're all shooting galleries, things like that. We had a great time. We had a really great time. We did that, and then we all went and hung out at a bar called Nerdvana. Had some food, played some Jackbox games on the TVs there, that kind of thing. And then we went over to Main Event and did some old school arcade games.
Nice.
So it was really cool. Climate, he's like so small. And he comes up to me and he's like, NPC, how are you so good at air hockey? And I was like, look, I've been playing this since before you were born.
Computer's having a spaz, guys. Bear with me for a moment.
Nice. Desktop flash.
Yeah,
there it is.
Well, it was beyond desktop flash there. That was all the flash.
Huge.
All right. I think it's back to normal. I guess we'll find out. Sorry about that, guys. I think my display driver, I think my video card is actually dying right now. So we'll see how the rest of the cast goes, everyone. Minneapolis meetup was awesome. We did the finest Minnesota cuisine, that is a cheese stuffed hamburger. And then we went to a place where we could throw axes at a wall, which was a lot of fun. Great way to take out some aggression Thug and I had built up over weeks and weeks of Discord teams quitting. And people that we had to ban from the community. Yeah, that was about pretty much what it was. Just a nice therapeutic time.
Yes.
Top that all off with the excellent night at Captain Wessel's house where we played Jackbox until 2 a.m. It was a good time.
Nice.
Good. Chicago LAN tournament did not go as hoped, it seems, with the tournament.
We got out of a group with it. So in our group there, we played with the team that eventually won. They played 22 maps on the day and didn't lose a map, period. Actually had the number 1 DPS in NA. So it was interesting to see how bad I was compared to that. But a lot of fun actually playing in person with everyone. It was really enjoyable. The maps that we did win, it was a lot of fun, and definitely something I'm looking forward to doing again in the future with some other people in the community. So
it was a lot of fun. I look forward already to season 4. It's going to be fun next time too, guys. If you didn't get an opportunity to go to a meetup, make an effort to do so. These guys can attest how much fun it is. It's an absolute blast to go to these things. It's exhausting. All 3 of us are exhausted, and we're doing kind of a ghetto cast today because we're all exhausted because of the meetups primarily, amongst many other things. we just didn't have any time to get anything prepped graphics wise for this cast, so we're going ghetto cast tonight, guys. So Ghetto Iris is tonight. In the interim, let's move on to the match recaps. We had 3 feature matches this week, guys. A little different than usual. First and foremost, the Tuesday kickoff match was Renovadio taking on Harmony and Chaos. Renovadio coming in as the clear favorite. Started off 0-2, then moved to 6-2. Since then, they haven't been able to pull off another win. They've been struggling with some rostering issues since several of their players went to go play for an open division team. Seems like they've been struggling to find some rhythm here. Harmony and Chaos, on the other hand, a team that appears to be on the rise, making some really nice pickups that have really benefited that team quite a bit, and now we're seeing the results. Harmony and Chaos with a fairly convincing victory over Renovadio. Honestly, it was a bit of a surprise. I think a lot of people did not expect to see Harmony and Chaos have that much control over that match. But they did. They really did. Other than map 4, it didn't really feel that close. And even then, map 4 still felt like Harmony and Chaos was in control. So it's unfortunate to see Renovadio still trying to get through this. I do like some of the changes they are making. Poet's doing really well on the Lucio right now. And I do think we're seeing some really nice stepping up from progress on that team. Doing a really good job trying to fill some big shoes from DC leaving the team. No question, but doing some good stuff there. On Harmony and Chaos, Poggers is to me the standout on that team right now. Just an insane player. Been playing extraordinarily well. There is some sort of commotion going on in my upstairs in my house right now, so I'm going to step away while Specs takes Eclipse versus Commit.
Yeah, so this was another match that kind of went 4-0 and not the best way. Commit just looked really, really solid from top to bottom. They were in control from the first point of the control map on. No, a lot of us were seeing a lot from Eclipse, and coming into the match, they were coming in very, very hot, and as good as they were just shut down and handled pretty handily here. There was never really a point where Commit looked like they were going to falter. They took the first map 2-0, let up a point on the other two, and then full held the final map there, which was, I forget what the map was because I didn't play in the pool this week. So Commit just looked very, very solid, and again, we can't really sing their praises high enough at this point.
I have to say what stands out to me with Commit is the fact that we really haven't spent any time talking about how good Shiro is on that team. And Axiom too, but both of them you could make arguments for both of them being the best DPS in the tier. I think pretty handily. Scary when your team has arguably the best tank in the tier, arguably the best DPS in the tier, and arguably the best supports in the tier. Tough team to beat, guys. Flip showed us that. So, moving on then. NPC, you had the Harmony tier expected match of the season, Vitamin C versus Maelstrom.
Yeah, we expected it to be, the match of the season. Unfortunately, I guess Maelstrom just didn't show up. It was Vitamin C every step of the way. There was a couple of team fights that I thought were going to go Maelstrom's way, but, in the end, Vitamin C just came back and clapped back even harder. They had an answer for everything Maelstrom tried to pull out there. I make jokes about sandbagging and everything, and some teams don't mean to do it, but garbage time is real. And once you make the playoffs, sometimes you just try a little less. And maybe that's what happened here. I don't know. But it definitely wasn't the showdown, and it definitely wasn't Maelstrom's best showing. I've seen Maelstrom play better than that. I know they can play better than that, and they're saving it for the playoffs, I guess, and we're going to see.
Definitely will be interesting to see where we go once they get to the playoffs here. We'll be talking about that at the end of this cast today. Talk a little bit about some of the other scores from the day. Obviously, we've already talked about Commit with their 4-0 over Eclipse. Alt F4 picked up a bye victory in addition to Meteors and Invictus and Tough Luck. Unfortunately, Otaku left the community. We're disappointed too. Trust me, we wish there was something we could have done. We tried, but unfortunately, it just didn't work out for Otaku. And unfortunately, another round of buys in the Discord tier we are cognizant of these problems that we're having this season, guys, and we are making some changes in season 4. And I know a lot of you are really clamoring to know what those changes are. We will be going into those at length after the regular season is over. So stay tuned. There's already been some things kind of leaked about. A lot of those things are true, but just stay patient.
Participation trophies, yes!
Things will come around soon. So just be patient on season 4 talk here, okay? So anyways, back to the scores here. Again, the other scores that weren't talked about already in the Discord tier, we had Instalock taking down Prodigious, and then we had One Last Ride taking out Instalock, and that was One Last Ride taking out Infius, and that was a 4-0. In addition, then we go to the Harmony tier. Harmony tier had the Jetpack Cats picking up a huge 3-1 victory over the Comets. We talked about that match coming in. Massive victory for Jetpack Cats without question. DDoS picks up a big 3-1 victory over Holy Jalapenos. Definitely looked at as probably an upset there. Careless Pandas pick up the 4-0 over Fighting Potatoes. Illusion takes the 4-0 over Boop. We saw Undead Battery pick up a 3-2 victory over Karma. We saw Vitamin C again, that dominating victory against Maelstrom. And then we saw Minty Hippos fall the spare change 3-1. The Hippos leaving the door open right now for teams like Comets and Spare Change outside looking in. And because of that loss from Minty Hippos, Boop and Fighting Potatoes are still not mathematically eliminated yet. So just something to think about there, guys.
Crazy.
But Pacified Pythons then pick up the bye over Overtime Gaming. Anything interesting that you guys want to talk about from this?
I think the big one is the Minty Hippos, but I want to talk a little bit about the DDoS victory. I mean, they, like I said, garbage time is real. I kind of expected teams like DDoS to kind of like, we're just gonna scrim the rest of the season, But no, they showed up, they played, they brought their A game. I think maybe with some luck they can pull it out, but I mean, definitely they just got to show up like that every single game. It was definitely something I enjoyed seeing.
Specs, what do you think?
Yeah, for me it was definitely the DDoS win. But along with that, I think it was the Minty Hippos loss. That loss is absolutely crushing. Just gonna be completely honest with it. That leaves the door open for teams right around them that I think will end up taking their playoff spot at the end of the day.
Now, I will say, for Minty Hippo's benefit, they do have a very convenient bye this coming week. That actually will take out the 2-9 or 2-10 team. But that being said, after that, it doesn't necessarily get easy for them either. They have Maelstrom following that, and then in week 15, again, and another match that has huge playoff implications, Jetpack Cats. So Minty Hippo is looking to make some changes here at the end of the season, trying to sneak into the playoffs. They have a lot of work to do without question. Talk about more about the playoff bubble next week. So stay tuned for that, guys. But right now, we're going to go ahead and take a look. And just so you heads up, I don't have a montage for this week. We're going to do a double montage next week just because, unfortunately, again, time was not in my favor. You can probably tell because I could not open my eyes past 2/3 right now. Just to give you an idea how tired we are. So, but we're going to go ahead and look at Tom's check for this week. Thank you to Empress.
The wheels on the bus
go round and round, round and round. The wheels spin me right round, baby. Record, baby, right round.
Yeah, aimbot. Wait.
All right.
So you can, if they rotate different,
Right there,
just
right
tell
there.
me.
All right.
3, 2, 1. Give it
Fighting.
the countdown.
Fighting.
J-Star, count it down.
3, 2, 1, fighting. We are already fighting. May. Help me.
Helping.
I have coalescence.
Hold. I got one.
Mercy is purple. Mercy.
Mercy.
Get you down.
Yep.
Ryan.
Hold him up.
Sorry, a heavy beam.
Ryan. Switch Zarya.
Fire no bubble.
Sorry, huge.
Signal low.
Nice pull.
Signal dead.
You fucking stole my booth, you cunt.
Defend the point.
I love it. Great plan. Let's stick with that.
Hey Kai, you want to try tried pharmacy. Maybe I choke. Low enough between the junk and then verb. What should we do? Are we assuming they're gonna try to tell you to the point? You think?
Just wake that up. We facing here. We facing here.
I'm gonna go in with all.
Alright, let's
They have
go.
no block.
Do it
They have
now.
no block.
Do it now.
I'm trapped. I'm trapped. I'm trapped.
Don't cut top. Don't cut top. Don't cut top. Don't cut top.
One more.
Reaper Fuck you, man.
I'm winning.
Oh, you're winning.
Moira?
Moira.
Holy shit.
Moira.
Nice hold, guys. Jesus Christ.
Oh fuck, there's a lot of people back here. Oh.
Okay,
Yeah, Zarya half.
Push up.
Tracer's still behind. Tracer's still behind.
Break on her man.
I have mana. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm going now, Jude.
He might have shattered. He might have shattered.
I just got in front of it.
Run!
Nice.
Ryan dead?
That's fine, this is fine.
Mercy
There's
on the
3
right.
rows on
Mercy.
cart.
Nice
Nice
save, GG.
Frosty, you gotta know. I wanna use that
It's
nano.
I can't. I don't know if you're behind me.
Delete the Rhine.
I still naked bladed.
Whoa!
Thanks again, Impers. Appreciate you doing that, guys. Make sure to submit your comms over to Impers so he can continue to edit those videos together. It's been one of the highlights of the season. Let's keep those going over his direction. Let's go ahead and get to some of the more exciting stuff we were going to talk about today, and that is the segment I like to call Contender Pretender. That's right. We're going to go through the top 8 teams in each tier and break down whether or not they truly are a championship contender in their tier, or if it's just an aberration and they're just a pretender. And we're going to start in the Discord tier. We're going to go to the number 1 team in the Discord tier, Commit. Is Commit a contender or a pretender? NPC, what do you think?
I have him down as a contender.
Shocking.
I look. Yeah, I know. Surprise. I look at their lineup and I can only see one weak link. And let's face it, Marf's going to be on a different team next week, so they'll make it all the way to the playoffs.
Specs, what do you think? Commit bad, right?
They're bad.
But are they a contender or a pretender?
Unfortunately, they're a contender. Fuck.
Marf memes aside, they're a contender, and I don't think they drop a map until the finals.
Ooh, bold.
They're gonna crush every team in Wake, and I don't think anybody can touch them right now. I don't think any team's even close. So, if they don't win the championship, it's an absolute shock. Just gonna say that right now. Meteors. I mean, we could just skip everybody else, right? They're all pretenders after I say that. No. Meteors, what do you think? They're sitting at 11-1 right now, in a very good position, obviously, for the playoffs. They have buys galore at the end of the season here. What do you think, NPC?
So I only put 4 contenders in each tier, and Meteors is another one. I mean, definitely Arise, HQC, Cool Sam, J Vice, Holly, Courage, Pyro. It's a stacked roster. They fell to Commit, but I think, given a rematch with some time to prep, maybe. We'll see.
What do you think, Specs?
Yeah, I definitely think they're a contender. I think what is going to hurt them a little bit, though, is the fact that they have so many buys towards the end of the season here. I mean, I know they're still scrimming and they're still working together as a team, but having that league match, that community match once a week and really putting all your effort
shut
into
it down,
that.
guys.
Yeah, I know.
Experience tranquility.
But really having that kind of rally point there and continuing is huge, and not having that towards the end of the season might hurt a little bit the first round or two of the playoffs, but at the end of the day, they're definitely a contender.
Yeah, I think they're a contender. They're the only team I think that can stand a chance right now. I just don't think One Last Ride's there yet. I don't see it happening. So, what do you think? Next one here. Speaking of the devil, One Last Ride. Obviously, they've come off their one loss this season, a really tough loss to Meteors in that very amazing feature match. 3-2, last map. Basically as incredible as you could possibly get. So One Last Ride looking really strong right now. They haven't had a chance to take on Commit. There's the Week 14 match. It is a feature match. What do you think, NPC? Are we looking at One Last Ride being a contender in the Discord tier?
Honestly, I thought you were going to segue into that naturally, and like because you didn't intend to do it, it was very awkward. But One Last Ride, I do have them as a contender. I see them possibly winning the whole thing just by catching teams that are statistically better than them, catching those teams on just an off day. Like Spec said, having that time at the end of the season where you're just doing bye weeks and just doing scrims, you might lose a little momentum. And if One Last Ride comes in at the right time and plays the right teams and knocks them out of the bracket, or somebody else knocks them out of the bracket, they got a chance. They got a good chance.
What do you think, Specs?
They're a pretender. I think that roster changes are going to be a major issue for them. They're still looking at picking up some additional players here, and it's very late on in the season. That synergy and that cohesion will not be there. Losing a player this week is rough. They have they have a tough game next week, obviously, but I think they're going to walk through the rest of the season, but I think they end up losing in the first or second round of the playoffs.
I think they're a contender with an asterisk because losing Trash, I think, hurt them a lot. But that being said, I still think they have their strong core. I don't think that has disappeared. The question will be, can they pick up somebody to fill that hole? I think they can. That's why I'm saying, yes, they still are a contender. But if they have trouble rebuilding their depth, I have to worry a little bit about what they're going to be. That said, I still think they're a contender. They brought Meteors to a 3-2. That match could have literally gone either way, honestly. It very easily could have. Modern Lion is playing one of the best tanks in the tier. And obviously that entire team. Kairos is incredible, just incredible. Overnight Coder we've talked about at length. We could go on and on about. So I still look at them as a contender, but there's an asterisk right now with them. Let's go into the next team here, and that is Tough Luck, the team of egos, power trips, failure, discontent. Nothing good ever came from Tough Luck, apparently, if you had listened to us at the beginning of the season. But Tough Luck right now sitting in a good position. They are 9-3 right now. They have a bye this week. No, it's bye next week. You have another bye. One more bye left. Next week. You're right. Yep. Looks like a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way if you're looking purely at records. So, except for one big match for them. It's Commit. Look at that match. Premium opportunity for Tough Luck to prove themselves. Do you see them as a contender or a pretender? NPC.
I got pretenders. Any minute now. They're just gonna turn on each other any minute now. I spent some time in their Discord recently. It's not a happy place. It is not. Oh my god. No, seriously, I see them as doing well, but I don't see them in the Final Four. Just there's at least 3 other teams better than them, and if you catch them on the right day at the right time, they're going to get knocked out of the playoffs.
Bex, no, this is your team. You don't get to talk about your team. I'll go ahead and say it. Tough Luck is a pretender today. They will be a contender by the end of the season, though. It literally comes down to whether or not Truth. Truth, pardon me. Real. I get Truth and Real sorted here because they both joined at the same time. It
there's Truth and there's Real.
Yeah, Truth and Real. It's all connected.
Facts.
It depends on how quickly he gets integrated to the team. And then obviously I look at Bing as well, too. Those two players have to integrate into the team, and if they don't, they will not succeed. I do think they will. If you ask me today, they are not contenders, but if by week 15, they very easily could be. So, moving on now, top 4 aside, we've talked about those top 4 at length all season as the front runners. Let's get into the more interesting teams here. We got Instalock. Instalock looking really good, but the DPS, the dynamic duo of Kuna and Frosty, is now just the dynamic single DPS of Frosty. NPC. Do we now see a pretender instead of a contender?
Okay, well, I told everybody I had 4, and you've already heard 3 of them. Instalock is not the 4th. I just don't see it. The rebuild was too late in the season. I just don't see it happening. I don't see them integrating new players in as fast as teams that have already signed those new players. I'd like to see them do well, but I just don't see them getting past the first round.
Specs, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they definitely can get their act together and become a team that pushes. The way, I mean, this is spoiling for next week, but the way it's looking like, they're gonna end up playing tough luck in the first round of the playoffs. So that's gonna be an interesting game, and I think the winner of that one actually comes out and goes pretty far in the playoffs. But as of the current state and time, I don't have them as a contender.
I'm gonna say they're a contender, and the reason is because of Frosty. I also think Trippy Cow and Jed have done a really good job on that tank line. They've really stepped up. I have to give them a ton of credit. They had some pretty decent sized shoes to fill on that tank line from the 1 week of My Big Marf and Specs and Silent Monkey. The big shoes to fill, but they've done well. Trippy Cow came from the Harmony tier, worked his way up.
He played on Boop for a while.
Played on Boop for a while. That was back when we made jokes about the Boop tier. So perspective about where he's come from. Humble beginnings. He's now on a team.
He was part of what brought him out of that.
So. I am very optimistic about where Instalock is going, but that's because I very firmly believe in Frosty. I think he is legitimately a top 3 DPS in the tier. I think there's a sincere argument that can be made for that. I think Frosty can lead that team. So be interesting to see where it goes from here, guys. Next one on the list is Eclipse. They've been on a hot streak lately, but they just suffered a brutal beating from Commit, taking them out to the woodshed and reminding us about week 1 Eclipse. Now, which team are we going to see? Week 1 and week 12 Eclipse, or week 11 through 9 Eclipse? Which one is it? Contender, Pretender, NPC? What do you think?
Cryptic Force works at McDonald's, but I definitely see Eclipse as chicken contendies. I see him as a contender. I see him going to make it. I think they've turned things around. I think this is my upset team. This is the team I pick to be the dark horse and actually make it to the Final Four. Maybe they don't do it, but I'd like to see it happen. And I think they can if they played as well as they had been 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago. They just got to get out of their own heads and, buckle down and play the game.
What do you think, Specs?
I have them on the same tier as a One Last Ride at this point. I think this is a team that can be a contender and push for a top 4 position. I just don't know if I see it. It's how they bounce back this week. I think the way that they bounce back and the way they come together or don't come together is going to be very telling. I'm going to kind of hold my judgment on that until then, but for right now, I have them as a pretender.
Eclipse I had as a contender up until I watched the feature match. I am now not convinced anymore. I don't know if Commit just came into that match fired up or what, but that was a beating. Like, that was a thorough beating. And I just don't see Eclipse being a contender after seeing that. If you look at the teams that they got hot against too, that's something I'm going to point out as well. It's
not great.
Not a great part of the schedule. Really not. They didn't really beat any of the top 5 contending teams to get to where they are now. Is it a fluke that they're where they are now? No, I do think they're in that secondary tier of teams, but they're not contenders. Next on the list is Invictus. Invictus right now. Team's been hovering around that middle all season. They look like they're going to be set up to be a playoff team here. I don't think there's anybody questioning that right now. But that being said, they haven't really had any signature victories. There could be an argument about their Instalock victory. That could be an argument there. That Instalock's been inconsistent all season. Where's the signature win for Invictus? What do you think? Contender, Pretender, NPC, go.
I got him down as a pretender. I've already named my 4. I think they could do it. Like I said, right team, right day. But I mean, I like what they're doing. Smirk and Black. I mean, Genji's just not going to be in the meta. So I don't know that Melts is going to help him. I don't see him making it past maybe the first round. I mean, they're going to make the playoffs, but first round, I don't see it.
What do you think, Specs?
Their signature win, if they have one, is going to come this week against Eclipse. I think if they win this week, that it's a big statement. I think if they lose it this week, that's just as big of a statement in the other way. To be completely honest, I don't see them as a contender at all. I think they'll they're gonna. It's looking like they'll be a play in the wild card round. I think they'll have success against a 9th or 10th seed. But other than that, I don't see them being successful beyond that.
I personally don't see them as a contender. I don't know that they're going to win a match the rest. I worry about them a lot. I really do.
Yep.
I don't like where they're at. And it's a shame because I think Booth is an excellent off-tank and an excellent leader, but Booth can't put that team on his back right now. He just can't. Too many weak links. All right, moving on then. Final team in the Discord tier we're going to discuss. Team that had a lot of hype for a while. They went 6-2, now 6-6. Renovadio. I'm sorry, they're 7-5. Thanks, Otaku. NPC. What do you think about Renovadio?
I just, after watching the Harmony match, I just don't see it. They just made a lot of changes, mid-season. Their rebuild, some rebuilds are helpful, but this one I don't think so. I just don't see them winning another match. They could win another map, but I don't think they're going to win another game.
Specs, what do you think?
I don't think they win another map.
Oh.
One last ride, tough luck insta-lock after not taking a map against Harmony.
Yeah.
It's tough luck there.
We've seen Tough Luck's record on control maps, though, for the record.
Hey, we haven't lost a map since I've been on the team.
Which teams have you played in that time?
Prodigious.
So 3 weeks, 2 buys, and Prodigious.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Real feather in the cap there, homie. All right. Renovadio, unfortunately, is a pretender. I think with the roster that they lost, that's a contender. I just don't think the people they've added are just up to the caliber that they had. It's a shame. Cream's been playing well. I just think he just is struggling with that team behind him right now. They just don't have the oomph they used to. They don't have the threats. I just don't feel like there's any real threat on that team anymore. So, unfortunately, without that, I just don't see them as a contender. If they prove me wrong, that's great. If they can bounce back, I mean, obviously, I would love to see teams like Instalock, Invictus, and Renovadio. I want to see them bounce back, but I just don't see it right now. Let's go to the Harmony tier now. We just saw that insane feature match last night, which was really just more of a absolute statement from Vitamin C. Vitamin C, the first team in the Harmony tier. I don't know if there's a doubt on this, but I'm going to ask the question. We're looking at a contender or a pretender. What do you think, NBC?
Contender. For sure. I mean, just they're undefeated. Maelstrom couldn't take them down. I don't think anybody else does either. I mean, I've been saying it's going to be Maelstrom in the finals, and it might be Maelstrom Vitamin C, depending on how the bracket lays out. But these two teams have to play each other again because I demand it.
What do you think, Specs?
I think they have an easier path to winning the championship than Commit does. They're a contender. I think the way they absolutely handled the second place team in the tier is very, very telling. And yeah, I think Maelstrom had an off night, and that's going to definitely be a factor of it. But I still think Vitamin C is that good at this point.
They're a contender. I said it last week. I said they would 4-0 Maelstrom. Yet he was right. Hashtags. You all said Maelstrom would win. 4-0 Vitamin C. Hashtag Yeti was right. Moving on.
Savor it while you can. It doesn't happen often.
I know. It was delicious, though. Let's move on now, guys. Yeti has a not wrong. Second team in the tier is Maelstrom. Just struggled with that tough match up against Vitamin C. We're still looking at a contender here, or did they get exposed last night? What do you think, NBC?
I think they're contender. I don't think they're worried about that last loss. I mean, sure, every loss counts and that kind of thing, but at the same time, it's garbage time. They've made their playoff spot. They're going to keep going. They're going to come back even stronger. I've been believing in Maelstrom since week 1, episode 1, preseason of the Iris. So I definitely see him doing it. They're definitely a contender.
What do you think, Specs?
I want them to be a contender. I don't know if they are. Looking back at them with, under a different name last season, we saw that they tend to just not bring it together at the end, and they didn't do it last night either. This is not a small sample size at this point. This is a pretty big, 6 months or so at this point. I think they can turn it around and they can push Vitamin C in the championship, but I just don't know if I see it at this point.
I think they have very different players on the team than they did last time, though. I think you
Very
talk
true.
about that team, and obviously I understand why there's comparisons, because you look at Triage, you look at Crispy, you look at Crossfade, Squashhead, they're all there, but it's a different team now. It's a different energy around that team. I think they had a really bad night last night. I really do. That said, if you look at their schedule the rest of the way, it is not an easy run here for Maelstrom. Week 13, Pacified Pythons. Okay, that's fine. Week 14, a very hungry Minty Hippos right now. Like, you gotta feel like Minty Hippos has a little bit of an edge, or a little bit of chip on their shoulder. Then week 15 against Karma, beat a teams with a chip on their shoulder. We're gonna see some interesting matches for them the rest of the way. That said, Maelstrom is a contender. They've proven it throughout the season. The one thing they need more than anything else is to really get that killer instinct down. They have that, they're gonna start crushing teams. They have really talented players. Just a matter of getting everything together and really just putting the boots to their throats, if you will. So, next team on the list in the Harmony tier is Illusion. Illusion is an interesting team. They are now currently sitting with 2 losses, but solidly in 3rd place in the tier. It doesn't look like they're going to go anywhere, but they do have one of the toughest schedules the remaining way here, with Careless Pandas this week, followed by DDoS, who is looking very hot right now, and then week 15 up against Vitamin C. 3 very tough matches for a team that has a couple signature wins, or a couple strong wins. But what are they going to do with this very challenging schedule ahead of them? NPC, contender or pretender?
I have them down as a contender. They're pretty good. But they have Careless Pandas, then the Comets, then Vitamin C. By the way, for the record, so they do play against me. So I'm just maybe But I mean, I have them down as contenders. I have them down as contenders for sure. I like what they're doing. They got Gecko, they got Player, they got Kurt, they got Black Ninja, Nick, right? But I feel like they just play well together. They're individual players, not necessarily those standout players we talk about every week and get highlights every week, but they definitely play together, and that's going to be the key to Harmony tier.
Specs, what do you think?
I think this is another team I think can be a contender, but kind of forecasting and looking at what a potential bracket would look like, it looks like they're going to be playing either Jalapenos, Battery, or DDoS in the first round of the playoffs. And I think all 3 of those teams can beat them on a good day. I think Illusion, they have a better shot at making the finals at this point than Maelstrom. So for that case, I'll say they're a contender, but I think they do have a rough run to it.
Illusion is not a contender. They just aren't. They've caught some teams. One of their big signature wins is against Karma, when Karma was down people. Otherwise, they haven't really flashed. They've won games, but they've won games they're supposed to win. They won against Holy Jalapenos in week 1, when the Holy Jalapenos looked like the Holy Bell Peppers. Like, they had no spice to them at all in week 1. Now they're a different team. To me, Illusion caught teams at a good time when they won those signature matches. I think they actually not only lose the next match, I think they lose all 3 of their remaining matches the rest of the way.
Wow.
And that's just not me just making fun of Nick because it's fun, because I love Nick and I love to kind of razz him a little bit about that. But I do think Illusion loses the next 3 matches. And I don't know if they win more than 2 maps the rest of the season. I just don't see it. I think that team has a lot of holes in it. The one consistent thing they have is Kurt. Kurt is an insanely good player. Otherwise, there's just a lot of inconsistency on that team. So I don't see it. I just don't see it. So let's move on now to the next team here, and that is Karma. Not going to say anything about Karma. Contender, pretender, NPC, go.
Okay, Karma, I have them down as pretender. I mean, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong, but really, they ride on the backs of Splinter, Land, and Cryogenics. Everybody else is kind of along for the ride. They're okay people. They're good. Really, really. Okay, they're good people, but I just have them down as a pretender. I just can't do it. I just can't. I can't see him making it all the way.
All right, Specs, what do you think?
I have them as a contender. I think, yeah, they're going through. They had a roster change today, which is fine. That happens. But I think they're going to be coming together, and they have the core there that's needed to succeed. I think
the
it's
core is
important.
on the Fighting Potatoes.
Thank you.
Dad
Appreciate
joke.
it. I think it's important that they just keep getting that team synergy and that cohesion up, and I see them pulling through and getting a victory over a team like a car or over a jalapenos or over an illusion or over a battery. I think it's something that's definitely possible and what's going to happen, to be completely honest.
All right. So NPC unfortunately had to leave. He's been replaced by Nick. Nick, what do you think about Karma?
They're good.
They're a bad team. We beat them really bad a couple weeks ago.
You forgot to have your mic cut out. Then it would have been a perfect impression.
We were bad sometimes.
I'm just kidding, Nick. I love you. All right. Let's move on to the next team here. I'm not going to spend any time talking about my team. Holy Jalapenos, team that caught a lot of steam starting about week 4, led by Johnny Robot and the Mallard. Team looks to be really strong still, but they came off a upset against DDoS. Are we still looking at a contender here, or did we see them get a little bit exposed? Are they now pretenders? What do you think, NPC?
Depending on what the bracket looks like, I have them down as a pretender. I like the team. I like what they can do, but Johnny Robot has been on that Doomfist grind this whole time. And with the nerf he got, DDoS was able to capitalize. And I just don't see them being as strong in general with the hero balances that happened and the heroes that they play. If they, learn to grind another couple of heroes in the next couple of weeks, then, maybe. But right now, I see them as pretenders.
Specs, what do you think?
Yeah, I really think it was a case of the map pool not kind of playing into their strengths this week. But regardless of that, they're a pretender. And it's because of the Doomfist nerfs. I think they got very, very exposed. And there's teams, the teams they're looking up at are going to capitalize on that, and they know how to capitalize on it. So I have them as pretenders at this point.
I have them as contenders because I still have a ton of faith in Mallard. I also think they have one of the most underrated supports in the entire community in Needle. I do think that team is a really, really good team still. But I think instead of Johnny Robot, we're going to start talking about the Mallard more now. Johnny's still an incredible player. There's no question. But I think the Mallard is the bigger part of that team and the bigger key to their success right now. So they're having a lot of fun along the way. I know they're doing it. They're a good team to watch. They're a fun team to watch, fun group of people. I want them to succeed, and I do think they will succeed. I think they are contenders to make it. Next, Undead Battery. NPC, you put together this ragtag team. Are we looking at a group of contenders or pretenders?
They're my upset. They're the eclipse of this tier. I think they're a team that they came together and they've been finding their footing and they're finding traction. And as long as they can keep that momentum going, yes, I see them going into the final 4. It's going to be really, really tough after that. They're great players. They're great people. Sometimes they struggle when they reach adversity. When they start really, hitting teams that are fighting back. I just hope they can find what they need to do to stay together, stay strong, and finish that out. But I see them as contenders. They're my upset contenders.
Specs, what do you think?
See, I've been real back and forth between this team and another team within being contenders. I think this team just misses out on it a little bit, and it's because of what we've seen when they face adversity. If they can come together more and be on the same page, I guess, a little bit more and really work with each other a little bit better, I think they can definitely be a contender that can push for a top 4, finals appearance and can really go far. But there needs to be some changes a little bit internally for that to happen. And if that does happen, which I have faith that it can, they can definitely push for that.
So yeah, Unlimited Battery is kind of an interesting one because we had an opportunity to play them on Tuesday. Was really excited for the match. I know they were very excited, judging by some of the things I was seeing in Discord. But honestly, we lost, and you gotta hand it to them. And I will eat my quesadilla of humility right now. And take that 3-2 loss. So kudos to you guys on Undead Battery for taking that win. That said, you're not contenders. You're very much pretenders. That's not just bitterness talking. I think there's a serious problems within the team chemistry at times. I think there's some egos and attitudes that get in the way of your success, and I don't think you can make a run for that reason. I think there's some problems that might cause that. When I see some of the things I see and I hear some of the things I hear, honestly kind of I see that from a team, and I'm like, when they face a little adversity, what's going to happen? Are they going to take it out on each other, or are they going to take it out on the Discord? Where are they going to take it out on? I just don't see it with Undead Battery. I think they're pretenders. I think the next couple weeks are going to be a little bit tougher for them, and I don't see them being contenders in the end. So that being said, next, yeah, Q ski dab. I'm not gonna dab. I love almost everybody on Undead Battery. Like Teractin is legitimately like one of the best people to come into this community, and an incredible main tank. And obviously, Impers has done amazing work on that team. This isn't personal when I say these things. It's just my belief. I just don't see it. I really don't. So, moving on here, then, guys. Next team on the list is DDoS. So DDoS coming off that big upset victory over Holy Jalapenos. A lot of people looked at DDoS and wrote them off after dropping that feature match against Karma. And PC, what do you think?
I love those guys. J-Star done great. Stevenator, Mix Ready, PDK, Rubik's, Blue. They're all great. They're great guys. They're great players. Just don't see it happening. Just looking at the competition in the tier and who's going to make it into the bracket. Maybe they make round one, but I don't know if they can make the final four.
Specs, what do you think?
I have them as a contender. I think this last win is a statement win, and from seeing what I've seen and hearing what I've heard, they're in the right place here. I think they're going to continue to grind out the meta. Their hero pools really play into this meta as well. I think this is a team that's really going to come together and keep pushing far. And they're contenders in my eyes.
I am very torn on this one. This was the hardest decision I made when I was debating this out. I went with contender. I think they're the sneakiest team in the entire tier. I think they are the meta rejects from season 2. They're the team that is coming in hot, have a lot of talent, a lot of good pieces, some great leadership, really good tank play. DPS line is growing. Their biggest thing right now. They're just kind of growing with each other. PDK Kid is making some big strides right now. And obviously one of the biggest pickups for them too was bringing in their new DPS player that I can't even remember the name of all of a sudden because I'm tired. Bufflama looked incredible against Holy Jalapenos. So I look at that team and I see a lot of potential for them to get to the next level here. They could make a run to the semifinals. Will they? I don't know, but that could be a team we see in the Final Four. I really do think that. So last but not least in the Harmony tier, Careless Pandas. Careless Pandas, such a strong beginning. How the mighty hath fallen. But along the way, it did have some very bright spots. Have to look at that big win over Maelstrom. Still sticks out in my eyes. Just if you're looking for a team that's a lower tier team, or not necessarily like a top end team in the Harmony tier with a signature win, there it is right there. NPC, what do you think?
I'd love to say that they could make it, but I don't think they can. They're just a shadow of their former team. Rebuild after rebuild. players after players coming and going. I don't see them having what they need to get to the Final Four. Once again, I think Maelstrom, sometimes they have inconsistent games. Sometimes they just don't have that killer instinct, like you call it. Maybe that's what happened there on that game, but I just don't see Careless Pandas taking it. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like for the next 3 weeks, but okay, they got Illusion, they got DDoS, and then they play the Comets. I see them winning a couple of those, but I don't know that they make it to the Final Four. I mean, they're going to be playoffs, but I don't think they make it to Final Four.
What do you think, Specs?
To me, they're the Eclipse of this tier. I really don't have a good judgment on them until after these next 2 weeks. I think Illusion and DDoS are 2 massive games. If they go 2-0, then I'm absolutely on their side here and can see them going far. They go 1-1, then maybe. They go 0-2. I think they're done. It's a toss up for me at this point.
Careless Pandas will be a spooky team contingent on one thing. It's the return. Yeti comes back to that team. That team immediately is a contender. Without him, they are very good pretenders, but they are just pretenders. So that's my.
He comes back just in time to face me.
I think the plan is right now he is returning very soon. So, but we'll see. Obviously, things can change. Personal lives are more important. So now to move on here, guys. We're going to go next to our next inductee in the Hall of Fame. We've already inducted Dunzo. We've already inducted Orsted. And quite frankly, if you're talking about Orsted, you just can't go without Velzen. And that's right, guys. Your third choice for the Overwatch Tranquility Community Hall of Fame is Velzen. We talk about him all day, guys. He has been the runner-up for the MVP twice. He is one of the most incredible DPS players to ever pass through this community. He was second in the Riddle 1v1 in Season 1. He was one of the strongest, most highly voted DPS in Season 2. And quite frankly, he, at points, without Orsted, threw gravity on his back and led them to the point where they could sandbag the last half of the season. So, NPC, you had an opportunity to play with Velzen. Tell me, he's deserving of this without question.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He showed up and, I can't imagine it's a lot of fun to be, the Grandmaster player on a team full of, plats and golds. But he showed up every week and he played with us and we had a great time. And he had, just next level thinking, he's like, oh, here's what we're going to do this fight. He did all the call outs. He did all the strategy planning. It's just like in the game, he was the in-game leader, and it was just amazing to play with him. It really was.
Bex Velzen, what do you think, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, just an incredible player. Him and Orsted combined were, in my opinion, probably the scariest duo this community's ever seen. And I think anyone that's been around for the first 2 seasons have seen that as well. He just incredible player, incredible DPS, and we've seen that as he's continued to go up the ladder and continues to get better. Just absolute incredible guy and great, very deserving for this list here.
Congratulations again, Velzen, the third choice for the Overwatch Tranquility Community Hall of Fame. We will see the fourth and final entrant into the Hall of Fame introduced to you guys next week. Be sure to tune into the Iris for that. In addition, and I've already highlighted it, but I'm going to say it again, there's been a ton of Season 4 questions. I want to answer all of them. I really do. We will be talking about them very, very soon. We are thrilled to tell you about Season 4 plans, but not yet. Stay tuned. It'll be worth the wait, guys. Season 4 is going to be lit. Trust me. All right, last but not least is predictions. The award-winning predictions segment. We are going to blaze through these because I'm pretty sure I want to sleep. And we'll go through fairly quick here. Like I said, some of these matches are pretty straightforward. So again, Aimbots and Frantic Lava Cats match of the season. Invictus taking on Eclipse. NPC?
I got Eclipse on this one. This is my underdog. I think Eclipse can do it. I think they're definitely not the favorites here, but I think they can do it. I believe in you guys.
Specs, what do you think?
Yeah, I have Eclipse as well. I think a roster change for Invictus is going to be the downfall for them in this match.
I got Eclipse as well, and just that roster change is too big right now. Meteors Alta for NPC.
I got the Meteors. I just, big surprise there. Not only are they my affiliate team, but also I just feel like they're just the top 2 team in the tier. So I don't see them going the other way. 4-0.
What do you think, Bex?
Meteors 4-0.
Yeah, Meteors 4-0. Question about. Commit taking on Harmony in Chaos. Can Harmony in Chaos pull the extraordinarily unexpected and take this win? NPC, go.
You know what? I think they can. I don't think they can. I think Commit's gonna
got him.
Got him. I think Commit's gonna roll this one. It may come into garbage time. They may give Harmony a map. Commit's just kind of but we'll see.
Thanks. What do you think?
They've still only lost 2 maps so far this season. It's going to be Commit 4-0.
Commit's going to roll, and Harmony doesn't score a point.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even come. Cavalier folds the team on. Yeah, 4-0 Commit. Next is Renovadio taking on One Last Ride. Big match here for Renovadio trying to find footing. NPC.
Renovadio has got to win this if they want to keep their hopes alive, but I just don't see it happening. I'm going to go with One Last Ride. It's the safe bet. Just overnight coder. I feel like I see that, and that's what's going to carry him right there.
Specs, what do you think?
This is my weird prediction of the week. One Last Ride's going to win it 2-1. I don't know why. I just have a real feeling they're going to take it 2-1. So,
all right, if that happens, that'll be very interesting. Quesadilla. One Last Ride wins. Infius taking on Tough Luck. Infius still looking for some signature victories. Tough schedule the rest of the way. What do you think, NPC?
I got Tough Luck winning this one. As long as they can, keep the team together and not turn on each other. I think Tough Luck definitely wins this one. They're a pretty strong team. I kind of meme on them a little bit, but I think they can take it.
Bex, what do you think?
I mean, you know what I think with this, but in order
Tough Luck. No, shut up.
We're gonna get into it real quickly.
All right,
quick hot take. In order to have signature victories, you have to have more than one victory against a team. They have 5 wins, 4 of them are forfeits.
Ouch. That's a big ouch. Next team, for me, it's Tough Luck. I think Tough Luck is looking to make some statements. They've been memed on enough. I think they're tired of it. Next, we're going into the Harmony team. Harmony team has many matches that I'm struggling to get through right now. Here we go. We're going to start with the feature match for this coming week here. This is going to be featured on Tuesday. Hairless Pandas. Tomorrow. Hairless Pandas taking on Illusion. Your NPC first. Big match here. What do you think?
I got Illusion on this one. I feel like they just play together well enough. Careless Pandas, they've got some good talent on there. They might be able to pull up 1 or 2 maps, but I think the whole victory goes to Illusion.
What do you think, Specs?
I think this goes to 5 maps, but Illusion take it in the end. I would not be surprised if Pandas take this, though. I think this is going to be a very close match.
Pandas win 3-1. Next week we start talking about Pandas as a legit bet.
Okay.
Next match on the list here, Fighting Potatoes taking on DDoS. What do you think, NPC?
God, I wish I could say Potatoes. I really, really do. Fighting Potatoes win this. I eat a baked potato on the stream. It's going to be DDoS, though. It's going to be DDoS, for sure.
And Specs, what do you think?
Yeah, DDoS take this pretty easily.
If the Fighting Potatoes win, I'll eat a raw potato on the stream.
Same.
It's going to be DDoS. Next match here, Boop taking on the Comets. NPC, what do you think?
Well, it's my team. So I did promise Boop that I have a video of Alayla doing DDR at main event. And if they throw and let the Comets win, I will send that video to them. So, just saying. I didn't tell him to throw. I just told him if Comets win, then.
Specs, what do you think?
I don't think they have to throw. I think Comets take this pretty quickly 4-0, and it's a big statement for them going into the rest of the season.
It's a necessary win for Comets, and I think they know they need to win this one. I think the team's hungry. I think the team's a little pissed. I think they take. Holy Jalapenos taking on Undead Battery. Big match here between two teams between that 4th and 6th spot in the tier right now. NPC, what do you think?
I got Undead Battery. I gotta have my boys, right? But it's gonna be close. It's gonna be a challenge, and it's gonna be that time where we see what happens when Undead faces a team that's genuinely good and that's, possibly better than them. If they can, stay together as a team and they can play together and they can work together, then they win. Holy Jalapenos, they're strong. And if Undead lose, it's because they played themselves.
What do you think, Specs?
I think Undead take this. I just Jalapenos need to figure some things out before I can really buy into them again. And I think this is a rough week to have that happen.
I'm going Jalapenos. I think everybody overreacted just a little bit to their loss. I think people are forgetting two things. A rough map pool for them. And DDoS is actually a legitimate team. They're not a bad team. So, just saying, I think this one goes to Jalapenos. I think it's a 5-map set. I do. I think both teams are really evenly matched. I think it's a 5-map set. I think Jalapenos take it. Jetpack Cats with Vitamin C. NPC, what do you think?
I got Vitamin C. I mean, they're undefeated as undefeated. Jetpack Cats, great team. Played them last week. Lost to them last week. But I just don't see him taking out Vitsi.
What do you think, Specs?
Yeah, I think Vitamin C take this pretty easily as well.
I do too. I think it's going to be a tough match for Jetpack Cats. They just had a nice win against Boop, a necessary win. I'm sorry. No, Comets, pardon me. A very necessary win for them. I think it locked them into the playoffs. I really do think they're solidly in right now, but still, I think this is the tough week for them. Karma taking on Spare Change. NPC, what do you think?
I got Karma. On this one. I feel like Karma's a good team. They did lose to Undead Battery, but it was a very, very good game. And I feel like just looking at team cohesion, Karma's going to take this.
Specs, what do you think?
Yeah, I have Karma as well with this. I think they're a very, very solid team still, and that's not taking anything away from Spare Change because they had a massive win last week. I just think Karma's going to overpower them.
Next on the list is our final match of the day. Maelstrom looking to bounce back against Pacified Pythons. What do you think, NPC?
I think Maelstrom definitely win this one. And I have a very good reason why. So the Comets, we had kind of a curse on us in our coaching staff. And now that curse has been lifted from the Comets and placed onto Maelstrom. So it's going to be really hard for them to win. But they've taken our curse, like the curse of the mummy. We've transferred it to them. So it's going to be hard, but I think they're going to do it anyway.
He's just going to change teams in a week anyways.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be the coach of a different team later, so whatever.
What do you think, Specs?
I think Maelstrom take this. I think they're going to come back and have a big win for their confidence. So yeah.
I think I think Pacified Pythons is unfortunately right in the bullseye of Maelstrom right now, who may or may not be a little chippy after that rough defeat last week. I think Maelstrom looks to recenter themselves this week and recenter their map differential. Pacified Pythons are going to get skinned, and it's not going to be pretty. So that's the end of the predictions, guys. Again, make sure to tune in next week. Next week, we will be doing our team superlatives. They'll be polling up for that. I'm expecting either Wednesday or Thursday night. If you're interested in voting on that, make sure to feature the results on the podcast next week. And again, next week, we will also be talking about our 4th and final nominee for the Tranquility Community Hall of Fame. Till then, I'm Ski for Yeti. I need.
I don't
sleep.
know. Are you?
I don't know. Am I anymore? Then we have NPC and Specs. We will see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Why is my computer freezing?
Scuffed. We promise we're leaving, everybody. Goodbye. Oh, the Chicago shirt. Nice.
Tranquility.